بالحسين عليه السلام في الدنيا والآخرة. يا أبا عبد الله، إني أتقرب إلى الله وإلى رسوله وإلى أمير المؤمنين وإلى فاطمة وإلى الحسن وإليك بموالاتك وبالبراءة ممن قاتلك ونصب لك الحرب، وبالبراءة ممن أسس أساس الظلم والجور عليكم، وأبرأ إلى الله وإلى رسوله ممن أسس أساس ذلك وبنى عليه بنيانا وجرى في ظلمه وجوره عليكم وعلى أشياعكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم، وأتقرب إلى الله ثم إليكم بموالاتكم وموالاة وليكم والبراءة من أعدائكم والناصبين لكم الحرب، وبالبراءة من أشياعهم وأتباعهم. إني سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم وولي لمن والاكم وعدو لمن عاداكم. فأسأل الله الذي أكرمني بمعرفتكم ومعرفة أوليائكم ورزقني البراءة من أعدائكم أن يجعلني معكم في الدنيا والآخرة، وأن يثبت لي عندكم قدم صدق في الدنيا والآخرة. وأسأله أن يبلغني المقام المحمود لكم عند الله، وأن يرزقني طلب ثاري مع إمام هدى ظاهر ناطق بالحق منكم. وأسأل الله بحقكم وبالشأن الذي لكم عنده أن يعطيني بمصابي بكم أفضل ما يعطي مصابا بمصيبته، مصيبة ما أعظمها وأعظم رزيتها في الإسلام وفي جميع السماوات والأرض. اللهم اجعلني في مقامي هذا ممن تناله منك صلوات ورحمة ومغفرة. اللهم اجعل محياي محيا محمد وآل محمد، ومماتي ممات محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إن هذا يوم تبركت به بنو أمية، وابن آكلة الأكباد اللعين بن اللعين، على لسانك ولسان نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله، في كل موطن وموقف وقف فيه نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم لعن أبا سفيان ومعاوية ويزيد بن معاوية، عليهم منك اللعنة أبد الآبدين. وهذا يوم فرحت به آل زياد وآل مروان بقتلهم الحسين صلوات الله عليه. اللهم فضاعف عليهم اللعن منك والعذاب الأليم. اللهم إني أتقرب إليك في هذا اليوم وفي موقفي هذا وأيام حياتي بالبراءة منهم واللعنة عليهم وبالموالاة لنبيك وآل نبيك عليه وعليهم السلام. اللهم لعن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر تابع له على ذلك. اللهم لعن العصابة التي جاهدت الحسين وشايعت وبايعت وتابعت على قتله. اللهم لعنهم جميعا. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. اللهم خص أنت أول ظالم باللعن مني، وابدأ به أولا ثم الثانية والثالثة والرابع. اللهم لعن يزيد خامسا، والعن عبيد الله بن زياد وابن مرجانة وعمر بن سعد وشمران وآل أبي سفيان وآل زياد وآل مروان إلى يوم القيامة. سجود. اللهم لك الحمد حمد الشاكرين لك على مصابهم. الحمد لله على عظيم رزيتي. اللهم ارزقني شفاعة الحسين يوم الورود، وثبت لي قدم صدق عندك مع الحسين وأصحاب الحسين الذين بذلوا مهجهم دون الحسين عليه السلام. أفلح من صلى على محمد وآل محمد.
صلوا على وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Dear brothers and sisters, welcome to our Muharram Majalis. I thank Brother Mustafa Alali for the amazing recitation, and inshallah now invite him for recitation of the Holy Quran. So please welcome him with the loudest of your salawats ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. فلما فصل طالوت بالجنود قال إن الله مبتليكم بنهر قال إن الله مبتليكم بنهر فمن شرب منه فليس مني ومن لم يطعمه فإنه مني إلا من اغترف غرفة بيده فلما فصل طالوت بالجنود قال إن الله مبتليكم بنهر فمن شرب منه فليس مني ومن لم يطعمه فإنه مني إلا من اغترف غرفة فشربوا منه إلا قليلا منهم فلما جاوزه هو والذين آمنوا معه قالوا لا طاقة لنا اليوم بجالوت وجنوده فلما جاوزه هو والذين آمنوا معه قالوا لا طاقة لنا اليوم بجالوت وجنوده بإذن الله والله مع الصابرين. ولما برزوا لجالوت وجنوده قالوا ربنا أفرغ علينا صبرا ربنا أفرغ علينا صبرا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. ولما برزوا لجالوت وجنوده قالوا ربنا أفرغ علينا صبرا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. فهزموهم بإذن الله فهزموهم بإذن الله فهزموهم بإذن الله وقتل داود جالوت وآتاه الله الملك والحكمة وعلمه مما ولولا دفع الله الناس بعضهم ببعض لفسدت الأرض ولكن الله ذو فضل على العالمين. فهزموهم بإذن الله فهزموهم بإذن الله وقتل داود جالوت وآتاه الله الملك والحكمة وعلمه مما ولولا دفع الله الناس ببعض لفسدت الأرض ولكن الله ذو فضل على العالمين. فهزموهم بإذن الله وقتل داود جالوت وآتاه الله الملك والحكمة وعلمه مما ولولا دفع الله الناس بعضهم ببعض لفسدت الأرض ولكن الله ذو فضل على العالمين. تلك آيات الله نتلوها عليك بالحق وإنك لمن المرسلين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I start in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Praise be to Allah, the creator of the heavens and the earth, the all-knowing, the all-wise, the one who has created the boundless beauty and wisdom that surrounds us, the Almighty, the Supreme Being who encompasses all that exists. Salawat. Dear respected brothers and sisters and elders in the community, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. We at Mohebban al-Mahdi Youth Foundation welcome you to night 7 of our Muharram Majalis with the esteemed Sheikh Abbas Panju. I send my condolences to the Imam of our time on the tragedy of Karbala and pray that Allah accepts the hajats of all those brothers and sisters attending these Majalis and all those around the world. We have a kind request for dua health for Zubaida Aman, Sayyida Zahida Jafri and Sayyid Ja'far Jafri. We pray that inshallah Allah gives them health and Allah gives health to all those around the world that may be ill right now. I start by thanking Qari Brother Mustafa Al-Ali for his amazing recitation of Ziyarat Ashura and the Holy Quran. Truly his recitations have had a profound impact on us and him abundantly for his efforts. Just a couple of announcements before I call Brother Muhammad Abbas Kareem for his recitations. The housekeeping rules of the 2 fire exits and the place to meet up will be the car park. And any bags, please keep bags with you. As you're walking out, there is also a bin bag where you can put your bags back into. So we reuse them bags. So if you don't want to take them home with you, you can just put them into the bag outside and inshallah we will reuse them on further nights. Just before I call Brother Muhammad Abbas Kareem, can I please get all the brothers to come as far forward as possible? I know a lot are sat in that corner. If I can just ask you to please come as far forward as possible just so that there's less interruption throughout the majlis. So please recite a loud salawat and come as far forward. Sallu ala wa ali Muhammad. I would now like to invite Brother Muhammad Abbas Kareem to bless us with some recitations on the Ahlul Bayt. Please welcome him with the loudest of your salawat. Salam Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
बराए ताजील ज़हूर इमाम ज़माना बाज़ बुलंद सलावत। जनाब कासिम के वाले से सलाम के चंद अशार पेश खिदमत है। एक और सलवात पढ़ दीजिए मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद। कासिम हो कहाँ बेटा, 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 कासिम हो कहाँ बेटा। बिन बेटे के महाए कब चैन से सोती है, जब से हो गए तब से सर पीट के रोती है, बैठी दर खैमा पे, बैठी दर खैमा पे, तकती है तेरा रास्ता। कासिम हो कहाँ बेटा, कासिम हो कहाँ बेटा, कासिम हो कहाँ बेटा, कासिम हो कहाँ बेटा।
بناؤں گی بیٹے کے لیے صحرا. قاسم ہو کہاں بیٹا, قاسم ہو کہاں بیٹا, قاسم ہو کہاں بیٹا, قاسم ہو کہاں بیٹا. غربت کو ذرا سمجھو, احسان کرو مجھ پہ, آنکھوں میں اندھیرا ہے, میں ڈھونڈوں تمہیں کیسے. ہر سمت سے آتی ہے, ہر سمت سے آتی ہے آواز تیری بیٹا. قاسم ہو کہاں بیٹا, قاسم ہو کہاں بیٹا. تم اپنے چچا جاں کی حالت تو ذرا دیکھو, مل جاؤ کہ تم میرے بھائی کی نشانی ہو. یاد آتا ہے اب مجھ کو, یاد آتا ہے اب مجھ کو, چہرہ میرے بھائی کا. قاسم ہو کہاں بیٹا, قاسم ہو کہاں بیٹا, قاسم ہو کہاں بیٹا, قاسم ہو کہاں بیٹا. ملتا ہی نہیں قاسم, فریاد سنو میری, اے بھائی حسن آؤ امداد کرو میری. دو ساتھ میرے تم بھی, دو ساتھ میرے تم بھی, آواز اسے بھیا. قاسم ہو کہاں بیٹا, قاسم ہو کہاں بیٹا, قاسم ہو کہاں بیٹا, قاسم ہو کہاں بیٹا. کیا حال تھا قاسم کا سوچو اے عزاداروں, دیکھا جو شہیدی نے بکھرے ہوئے لاشیں کو, یہ لاش پہ آ کر بھی ہے, یہ لاش پہ آ کر بھی کہتے تھے شہ والا. قاسم ہو کہاں بیٹا, قاسم ہو کہاں بیٹا, قاسم ہو کہاں بیٹا, قاسم ہو کہاں بیٹا. روتے ہوئے سب ٹکڑے شبیر اٹھا لائے, ذیشان کہا شاہ نے جب سر نہ ملا ہے, سر ڈھونڈوں بتا قاسم, اب جا کے کہاں تیرا. قاسم ہو کہاں بیٹا, قاسم ہو کہاں بیٹا.
بر محمد وآل محمد بلند تر صلوات. ایک اور صلوات پڑھ دیجئے محمد وآل محمد.
دعا کرو کہ کوئی معجزہ دکھائے حسین. دعا کرو کہ کوئی معجزہ دکھائے حسین. پھر ایک بار ہمیں کربلا بلائے حسین. دعا کرو کہ کوئی معجزہ دکھائے حسین. پھر ایک بار ہمیں کربلا بلائے حسین. نصیب جلد مجھے شاہ کی زیارت ہو. مجھے بھی کاش کسی شب میں یہ بشارت ہو. چلو اٹھو کہ تمہیں آج لینے آئے حسین. پھر ایک بار ہمیں کربلا بلائے حسین. دعا کرو کہ کوئی معجزہ دکھائے حسین. پھر ایک بار ہمیں کربلا بلائے حسین. وہ جس کو بانٹنا چاہے وہ بانٹ دے جنت. مجھے خدا کی قسم خلد سے نہیں رغبت. میرا تو کرب و بلا، ارے میرا تو کرب و بلا میں ہی گھر بنائے حسین. پھر ایک بار ہمیں کربلا بلائے حسین. دعا کرو کہ کوئی معجزہ دکھائے حسین. پھر ایک بار ہمیں کربلا بلائے حسین. وہ جس کا خانہ کعبہ طواف کرتا ہے، وہ جس کی جالیاں جبریل صاف کرتا ہے، وہاں کا مجھ کو بھی جا روب کش بنائے حسین. پھر ایک بار ہمیں کربلا بلائے حسین. ہٹے گا جیسے ہی آنکھوں سے اشک کا پردہ، کروں گا روضہ سرور پہ شکر کا سجدہ. میرا نصیب جو ایک بار پھر جگائے حسین. پھر ایک بار ہمیں کربلا بلائے حسین. دعا کرو کہ کوئی معجزہ دکھائے حسین. پھر ایک بار ہمیں کربلا بلائے حسین.
بر محمد وآل محمد بلند تر صلوات.
بر محمد وآل محمد صلوات. Thank you to Brother Muhammad Abbas Kareem for that amazing recitation. May Allah bless him abundantly, inshallah. For his health and for success, please recite a loud salawat for him. Just a couple of announcements. So going forwards now, inshallah, the majalis will start at 6:30 p.m. So it has been pushed back slightly. This is due to the namaz timing coming back, so we have reduced timing available. And as the nights go on, the musibah will get longer. So inshallah, just to be able to fit it all in, we're going to try and start at 6:30 p.m. sharp, just like we did tonight. And so please do come on time so that we can start the program on time. Just the schedule for the rest of the nights. So inshallah tonight, on the 6th of Muharram, we will have the Mahdi of Hazrat Qasim. On the 7th of Muharram, tomorrow night, we will have the Jula of Shahzada Ali Asghar. On the 8th of Muharram, inshallah, we will have the Alam of Hazrat Abbas. On the 9th, we'll have, on the Shab-e Ashur, we will have, inshallah, the Tabut of Hazrat Ali Akbar. Before Saturday, which will be the day of Ashura. Inshallah, on Friday night, as we do every year, we will also have the midnight majalis, which will start after namaz, and inshallah, the details for the midnight majalis on the day of Ashura will be out really soon. There is also a midnight majalis that is happening for the next couple of days at Al Hussein Masjid for anyone that is interested. It will start after namaz at around midnight, and there will be musibah in English followed by matam in Urdu. So if you are interested, that is happening, inshallah. Just an announcement that I've been doing last couple of days about the books that we have available. There are only very few books left, and from what I believe, I don't think they are going to get restocked. So this is the last batch of books that we have. So if you are interested, I will read the titles again. The first one is The Life of the Sincere Companion Abu Dhar al-Ghaffari, The Life of the Third Martyr Qazi Nurullah, Al-Mohebban, which is the first book ever discussing the bloodline of Amir al-Mu'mineen, and the first book ever to mention the name of the martyrs in Karbala from Bani Hashim. And then we also have Bab Hadi Ash'ar, which is a book on the principal beliefs of the Shia school of thought, and it's a textbook which is still taught in the Hawza today. And finally, we have Tafsir of the Holy Quran, and it's volume 1 of an intended 3 volumes. As I said before, any money that is raised will go towards further research and publications. So it's non-profit, it's just going to go towards further research that's going to happen, inshallah. I would now like to invite up Brother Raza Naqvi from Mohebban al-Mahdi Youth Foundation for a couple of announcements. So please welcome him with the loudest of your salawats ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Thank you, Brother Abbas, for your announcement, and Brother Muhammad Abbas Kareem for his beautiful recitation, and Brother Mustafa for his beautiful Quran recitation. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Raza. I'm one of the volunteers here at Mohebban al-Mahdi Youth Foundation. I won't take long of your time, just a couple of announcements really in regards to the program, the majalis, the wonderful support that the community has given, and where we're at in terms of fundraising and how we need your help going forward. So many of you may have attended Mohebban al-Mahdi Youth Foundation majalis for a number of years, and I think over the years you've seen our growth in terms of the scope of our majalis, in terms of the setup, in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of the operations and the logistics. And we've come to a point where we're catering now, alhamdulillah, for around 1,000 mu'mineen every night. Now, as you can imagine, this is no easy feat, and it comes with certain responsibilities, certain added pressures. So for a project of this size, it's costing us around £40,000 for the entire series of the majalis. So approximately costs around £4,000 per night. That caters for 1,000 people in terms of niyaz, in terms of refreshments. We offer additional facilities such as childcare facilities in terms of the creche. We have Children's Majalis, which has been fantastically organized by Al-Naba School, and they're doing a wonderful job. But in order to facilitate this, we need the community and we need the support of the community to keep growing, keep providing these services, keep alive and keep having the opportunity to remember the martyrdom, the tragedy of Imam Hussein alayhi salam and his family. Salawat. So as we've been collecting over the last few nights, we've reached probably around 50% of our target. So we're around £20,000 in. So we have another 20,000 to go. So I think we have around 4 to 5 nights, as Abbas mentioned, inshallah. Our last program will be on Saturday evening with Sham Ghariba Majlis. So please, if I could implore each and every one of you to please do contribute on your way out, on your way in. I know people say that they've already contributed on previous nights, but we're only 50% of the way there, and we need each and every one of our community to dig deep and give whatever they can in the way of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. You can do it in various ways. You can do one-off donations, so sponsoring £50, £100. You can do larger sums and dedicate it towards certain aspects of the majalis. If you want to contribute towards the niyaz, then we can allocate funds there. If you want to contribute towards the overall infrastructure of the majalis, as you can see, there's a lot of expense, whether it's the sound system, whether it's the visual, whether it's the hiring of the venue. These are all very, very costly expenses that we incur. And it's not just those that you can see. There are a lot of hidden expenses that we have to accommodate for, such as insurance, such as security. And these are all paid for services that we have to do to ensure we're compliant with legislation. So there are a lot of expenses which you may not be aware of, but do provide and do add to the bill, hence why it's such a costly project. But I'm sure, as every year before, the community has always stood by us. We've always been comfortable in reaching the funds, and I have utmost confidence and yaqeen, especially why we're here, remembering the tragedy of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, the reasons why we do it, and the love and passion we hold, and I'm sure we can translate that into raising the funds that are needed for the majalis. Salawat. And I just want to thank each and every one of you for your patience and your support over the last few nights. It's been difficult, it's been challenging, especially with setting up in a school, and especially during term time, initially in the first week, where we had to sort of rig and de-rig every night. It has been challenging, so please do forgive us for any shortcomings. And inshallah, we look forward to welcoming and hosting you at the Majalis of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Again, just a few housekeeping rules that I think Brother Abbas has already mentioned, but I'd just like to reiterate. One is parking. As the school is situated in a residential area, we're on a one-way road, so we can only enter for one end and exit on the one end. So I just wanted to remind everyone, please do ensure that you're following the rules of the road, not just inconvenience to other attendees and to the volunteers here, but also to local residents as well, especially when we're leaving sort of around 10, 11 p.m. at night, and especially on Friday evening as well, when we're going to be having the midnight majalis. So please, if I could iterate kindly and politely, please, if everyone could respect that. We have a number of parking attendants and wardens out on the site. So we've got 2 main car parks, as you know, and then an overflow car park, which is at the retail park. So please, if you could try and use those car parking spaces, as opposed to parking on pavements, on curbs, on zigzags, and it's causing us a lot of trouble. So please, if you could ensure that we could do that. I know it's a little bit of an added walk, maybe 2-3 more minutes, but if you could leave a little bit early to try and accommodate that, especially as we get busier throughout the remaining nights. If you could do that, that would be really much appreciated. Salawat. And finally, I think one just polite reminder as well in terms of cleanliness and hygiene and etiquette in terms of the facilities that we're using. These facilities are hired, and we have to provide them back in the same way we received them. So whether that's the main hall here, whether that's the toilet facilities, whether it's the crash area, whether it's the classrooms. We've had a number of reports of a lot of litter being left, a lot of sanitary products, a lot of children's nappies, for example, which Brother Abbas mentioned over the last couple of nights. Please, if you could make a concerted effort, not just we have a responsibility towards the school and the landlord of the property, but also towards the Farshi Azhar and the reason why we are here, really to mark the tragedy of the Ahlul Bayt. And we have to do it in a manner which is respectful, which has etiquette, and which has utmost dignity. So please, if we could treat the premises wherever we are, whether we're in the hall, whether we're outside in the hallway, whether we're upstairs in the children's classrooms, if you could please ensure we're maintaining the cleanliness of the area that you're in. You're taking responsibility of your children. We've had a lot of reports of children roaming the corridors unsupervised and causing damage to products as well and to property. So we just want to make sure that everyone is responsible. Just as it is our responsibility as Mohebban al-Mahdi, it's also the wider community responsibility as well. So please, if I could make sure everyone has that in the back of their mind. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And finally, in order to have renowned speakers, and we're very honored to have with us Sheikh Abbas Panju with us this year. Again, last iteration that we do need your support in order to have speakers of his caliber, who's providing infinite knowledge, who is providing us a platform and an opportunity to remember the zikr of the Ahlul Bayt, to remember the musibah and tragedy and relive those stories and reignite those passions year on year. So again, please, we have a number of collection buckets outside, with a number of card readers if you need to make payment on cards, and also we have a standing order forms tonight. So in order to alleviate the burden and make it not as difficult every year, I do encourage you all to set up a standing order as we have programs throughout the year, which Brother Faizan will elucidate to you in the next couple of nights. But please, if a £5–10 standing order, if the whole community was to sign up, for example, the number of families we have, £10–20 a month, that would go a long way in helping the organization becoming self-sufficient in terms of their operations, their costs, and their overheads. And that would also alleviate the burden as a community, where we have to every sort of cycle or every Muharram come around and ask for funds. So that is one opportunity and one way just to alleviate that burden and make the fundraising target more manageable, I guess. But thank you so much for your time. If there's anything we can do, or if there's any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself or any of the volunteers. And inshallah, we look forward to welcoming you every night, as Abbas mentioned, at 6:30 p.m. to allow the Sheikh a full hour, an hour and 15 for his topics, his majalis, and also adequate time for the masaib and the musibah of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, and also adequate time for Matam Dari, especially with namaz coming earlier. And over the next couple of days, we'll be releasing our schedule for the day of Ashura, which will be Saturday, along with the Shami Ghariba Majlis on the Saturday evening, along with our midnight Majlis, which will be taking Friday night from around 11:30. But posters and details will be received. And again, if anyone wants to contribute towards niyaz for any of the nights, or if they wanted to make other one-off contributions, please do speak to a member of the team. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Thank you to Brother Raza for that. Just a final kind reminder that during the majlis it does get a little bit loud. So if you do have any kids that are little, they can use the creche area. There is a full live stream going on there. Please, if a volunteer does tell you that there is a little bit of a noise and to go to the creche, then please do listen to them, only because it disrupts the lecture for everyone else. It distracts the Sheikh, and we want to try and stay away from that. A final request for a Surah Fatiha for the marhumeen of the sponsors of this majalis. So please recite a loud salawat followed by a Surah Fatiha. Salawat. Inshallah, now as I invite the Sheikh, as we do every night, please, if we all stand up in respect for the Sheikh and then move as far forward as possible. Can I please ask the brothers at the front here, can a couple come on this side of the stage and a couple on the other side of the stage? Because it causes too much disruption as the majalis goes on. So please welcome to the Sheikh with the loudest of your salawats, ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Narai Takbir, Narai Takbir, Narai Risalat, Narai Risalat, Narai Haidari, Haidari, War Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
رحم الله من قرأ سورة المباركة الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله بارئ الخلائق الأجمعين، باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء، حبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا، أبي القاسم محمد. ثم الصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين، لا سيما ولي الله الحجة ابن الحسن صاحب الأمر والزمان. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعجل فرجه. روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم وعلى غاصبي حقوقهم وعلى منكري فضائلهم من الأولين والآخرين إلى قيام يوم الدين. آمين رب العالمين. صلى الله عليك يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، صلى الله عليك يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة. يا غريب الغرباء يا مظلوم كربلاء السلام على من جعل الله الشفاء في تربته السلام على من الإجابة تحت قبته السلام على ساكن كربلاء فيا ليتنا ثم يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي يا سادتي فنفوز فوزا عظيما أما بعد قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد المهدي من ولدي ويملأ الأرض عدلا وقسطا كما ملئت ظلما وجورا صدق النبي وآمنا به زينوا مجالسكم بذكر محمد وآل محمد Ahibba'i, you find that the concept of Mahdawiyah, belief in the 12th Imam, Maulana Imam Sahib al-Amri wal-Zaman, Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu al-Sharif, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajjal farajah, is a critical aspect of our deen. And I do not say over here that belief in Imam al-Mahdi is a critical part of the madhab. La, it is a critical part of the deen, being the final aspect of the institution of imamate in its entirety. And hence, our understanding and our belief when it comes to the issues in regards to Imam al-Hujjah is connected with Usuluddin. And as you know, and as we discussed in previous nights, that it is based on Usuluddin, that every aspect within our Furuuddin gains currency and gains validity. And you will find within Islamic literature that every one of the divinely appointed guides, from Khatamul Anbiya, Rasulullah, all the way down to every one of the Imams, up till Imam Hassan al-Askari, you will find that every Imam spoke in varying degrees in regards to the advent of Imam al-Hujjah and the awaited Imam al-Mahdi, such that not only is the generation at that time educated in regards to the imminent arrival of Imam al-Mahdi, but is to serve as a literature for us to prepare ourselves within the ghaiba of the Imam. And you find that Imam al-Hussein Ruhi lahul Fida was no exception. In fact, when you refer back to the books of the Maqatil, you find that Imam al-Hussein Ruhi lahul Fida discussed the concept of Mahdawiyah and spoke about Imam al-Hujjah on the night of Ashura. You know, within Dirayat al-Hadith, the art and the science of understanding Hadith, we have a rule of thumb where the content of the Hadith the importance of the content of a hadith is understood from within, or is understood from the circumstances within which this hadith emanates. So you can imagine the fact that it is the night of Ashura, and the next day is going to unfold in front of this universe the greatest battle between Haqq and Batil. On this night, Imam al-Hussein talks about Imam al-Mahdi with his companions. For you find within the Maqatil, it is narrated that when Imam al-Hussein tested his companions and gave them the opportunity to save their lives and to live in the darkness of the cover, and you know that to live in the darkness of the night, you know that none of the companions left Imam al-Hussein at that point. And when Imam al-Hussein saw their loyalty, he lifted the veils of the unseen from in front of his companions, and each and every one of these blessed men were able to see their positions in paradise. And you find over here that Imam al-Hussein talks about the awaited Imam with his companions. And it is narrated that one of the companions asked, "And who is this Mahdi?" The title of the Imam which is used, or the particular question that was asked by the companion to the Imam, is a title of the Imam that requires us, as per the hadith of Imam as-Sadiq, every time this title is mentioned, that you stand up out of respect. And hence I will mention his name, and to bless this gathering with the presence or with the glance of Imam al-Hujjah, we stand up out of respect for this name. The companion asks Imam al-Hussein, وَمَنْ قَائِمُكُمْ? قائم آل Muhammad, صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Hadith of Imam as-Sadiq Ruhi Lahul Fida narrates, every time you come across this title of the 12th Imam, stand up for him out of respect. So they ask, who is this Imam, this awaited Mahdi? And you find that Imam al-Hussein says, وَهُوَ حُجَّةِ ibn al-Hasan, ibn Ali, ibn Muhammad, Al-Jawad, Ibn Ali, Musa al-Ridha, Ali al-Ridha, Ibn Musa al-Kadhim, Ibn Ja'far al-Sadiq, Ibn Muhammad al-Baqir, Ibn Waladi al-Ali. You find that over here, Imam al-Hussein is outlining the name of all the Imams and the lineage of Imam al-Hujjah. And Imam al-Hussein then goes on to tell his companions, Lahu ghaybatun tawila. He has an extended period of ghaybah. And when he reappears, يَمْلَأُ الْأَرْضَ قِسْطًا وَعَدْلًا كَمَا مُلِئَتْ ظُلْمًا وَجَوْرًا. Once the Imam reappears, or upon his reappearance, he will fill the earth with peace and justice, in the same manner that it has been filled with oppression and injustice. And it is based on these words of Imam al-Hussein that I wish, inshallah, for tonight and for tomorrow, that the majlis should be a discussion around the concept of Mahdawiyah and the belief or that revolves or emanates around Imam al-Hujjah. And for tonight, our majlis revolves around two primary aspects. Number one, the circumstances within which the dhuhur of the Imam will happen, the circumstances under which the appearance of the awaited Imam will happen, number one. And number two, some of the achievements of the Imam when it comes to establishing a universal, global government of peace and justice. And note that this topic has quite a bit of depth, for we have selected certain chapters from each of these two parts, and inshallah the hope is with this, our ma'rifah of Imam al-Hujjah increases, our love for Imam al-Hujjah increases, and it becomes a motivation for us to embark upon a path of self-improvement and spiritual progressment with a hard objective and target, and that is to be from amongst the Ansar of the awaited Maulana Sahib al-Amri wa Zaman. Tayyib. When it comes to the circumstances, we have numerous hadith that speak about the signs that will precede the reappearance of the 12th Imam. And you find that within the literature of the hadith, these signs are divided into two. You have alamat, the signs of reappearance. Some of these signs are known as alamat al-hatmiyya, the signs that will occur before the reappearance of Imam al-Hujjah with absolute certainty. And then you have the ghayr hatmiyya. Alamat ghayr hatmiyya are those signs that may occur or may not occur. And as per the divine wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in line with the circumstances of the time, these may happen, may not happen. On the other hand, when you will dive into the world of ahadith, you will find that hadith that talk about the alamat or the signs of akhirul zaman are generally attached or generally connected or affiliated with the dhuhur of the Imam. And some of these hadith can be categorized in terms of the political situation, in terms of the economic situation, in terms of the social situation. For the hadith are numerous. When it comes to circumstances, there is one particular hadith that I would like to narrate for you from the minbar. And it has many commonalities in the mannerism that the revolution of Imam al-Hussein took place. And if you were to connect the dots, you will be able to see that the movement and the revolution of Imam al-Hussein, the revolution and the movement of Imam al-Hujjah, from many dimensions and many perspectives, has similarities with the movement and the revolution of Imam al-Hussein. The hadith tell us that in the year that the dhuhur of the Imam will happen, on the 25th of Dhul Hijjah, Imam al-Mahdi shall send his ambassador and an emissary to the city of Mecca to make a global announcement inviting the people in their entirety to prepare themselves, pay allegiance, and respond to the call of Imam al-Mahdi. The narrations mention that this individual and this ambassador and this emissary of Imam al-Mahdi is given the title Nafsu Zakiyya. And we have hadith literature, some of which alludes to the fact that he's from the lineage or the Sadat of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba. And we have other hadith that suggest that he is from the lineage of Imam al-Hussein and from the Sadat that are Husseini. In either case, the traditions mention that Nafsu Zakiyya on the 25th of Dhul Hijjah in the year of the dhuhur of the Imam shall come to Mecca, and he shall make a grand announcement, and he will say to them, O people, by the Kaaba, a public announcement, he will say to them, Ayyuhan nas, O people, I am a messenger that has been sent by the Imam. And he will take the name of the Imam. He says, the message that I have been sent with by the Imam, Inna ahlu bayt al-rahma wa ma'adin al-risala. Notice the word that is used over here. After an extended period of ghaiba. Allahu alam how long this ghaiba shall continue. But our hope and our dua on a daily basis is for the occultation of the Imam to end as soon as possible. And as importantly, that we are ready to be on the right side of the fence when the dhuhur of the Imam happens. This part of the discussion is for tomorrow's majlis. But look at the manner in which the Imam or Nafs al-Zakiyya introduces the concept of Imam al-Mahdi and this message of spreading peace and justice on earth. He describes the Ahlul Bayt by saying, Inna Ahl Bayt al-Rahma wa ma'adin al-Risala. We are the Ahlul Bayt of mercy. Bain al-Qawsayn, between brackets, Ahbai, it is so important to understand the methodology through which the Imam will embark upon when he appears. Many times we find people who are absolutely in love with the Imam and they're super passionate about the Imam, but their opinion of the Imam and their mindset, their understanding of the Imam is overshadowed by the fact that they think the Imam is here to conduct a bloody, violent war against everyone and anyone who disagrees with them. And they subconsciously feel that in order to be part of this grand army, they themselves need to be hostile and act or organize and mobilize themselves in a military fashion. La ahibai. Bil-aks, it's actually the opposite. Rasulullah's seerah is going to be the absolute path of emulation for Imam al-Hujjah. As we will see in the second part of the lecture. Yes, the Imam will be engaged in violence. Yes, the Imam is going to need supporters, Ansar and Asham, who have the highest level of courage. But however, this courage or display of bravery or readiness of war means nothing if it is not governed by akhlaq. Means nothing if it is not governed by a strong, steadfast aqidah. And this is important. For Nafs al-Zakiyya says, Inna ahlu bayt al-rahma wa ma'din al-risala. We are the ones whom the treasures of prophethood are embedded within us. He will then go on to say, وَنَحْنُ, and we are the ones إِذْ تُحِدْنَا وَقُتِلْنَا وَشُرِدْنَا مُنْذُ أَنْ كُبِذَ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. He will then go on to say that we are that Ahlul Bayt that were oppressed, that were persecuted, and that were exiled ever since the demise of the Holy Prophet. And this also is an indicator for you that an important aspect in the concept, an important aspect in this institution of Mahdawiyah is for you to be absolutely well versed in the history of Islam and the history of what transpired in the satanic gathering of Saqifa. Because you find that this is one of the first messages that Nafs al-Zakiyya announces as he's calling the people towards him. And Nafs al-Zakiyya will then say, Fansuruna. Fansuruna, and he come and provide victory towards us. And you find over here similarities in that just the way, like Imam al-Hussein, before he stood up in revolution and announced the revolution towards Karbala, he sent his ambassador and his emissary, Imam Muslim bin Aqil, to the city of Kufa to seek pledges of allegiance on his behalf. You find over here that Imam al-Hujjah, within the same seerah of Imam al-Hussein, sends his emissary or will send his emissary and ambassador by the name of Nafs al-Zakiyya. The Imam predicts within the hadith, when we say Imam predicts, as in he's telling us what to expect in the future, the Imam has ilmul ghaib. The Imam tells us that the response of the Meccan people, or the response of the people who will be in Mecca, in the Haram, and this doesn't necessarily mean that they will be Meccans by nationality. And you can get to see that during different times of the year, Mecca is filled with a diverse number of Hujjaj. Different backgrounds. Muhim, the response of the people is that when they hear the announcement of Nafsul Zakiyah, Hadith al-Sharif by Imam al-Baqir mentions that they will grab Nafsul Zakiyah فَيَذْبَحُونَهُ بَيْنَ الرُّكْنِ وَالْمَقَامِ. They will take Nafsul Zakiyah. They will not kill him. They will not execute him. The hadith is very precise. فَيَذْبَحُونَهُ. They will slaughter and behead him between the Hajar al-Aswad and the Maqam Ibrahim. Can you picture this in your mind? For those of you Matamis who have been blessed to go for Umrah or to go for Hajj, and may Allah grant each and every one of us an opportunity to do so, and to have Aza at Jannatul Baqi when you perform your ceremonies. You can imagine at this grand Kaaba, the house of Tawheed with all its splendor, everything that surrounds it. Nafs al-Zakiyah is beheaded at that place. And the historians and the hadith mention that this will happen 15 days before the dhuhur of the Imam. And there are other hadith that mention that Nafs al-Zakiyah will be executed on the 25th of Dhul Hijjah. For if you were to count 15 days from the 25th of Dhul Hijjah on the assumption that Dhul Hijjah is 30 days, 15 days on to 25, you find that the dhuhur of Maulana Imam Sahib al-Amri wa Zaman shall occur on the day of Ashura. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. For embrace yourselves, ya Shi'as, Matamis. There will come a time when the day of Ashura, together with the Azaa of Imam al-Hussein, will mark the reappearance of Imam al-Hujjah. And it is instrumental for you and I, necessary part of our Aqidah, to ensure that within our minds, within our lifestyles, we have planned for the blessed day in which the Imam will reappear, that each and every one of us has a plan to get to the city of Mecca. It is important for each and every one of us to possess a mindset that when the call of that awaited Imam comes on the day of Ashura, that we do not falter. We do not waver. Slang term, we do not flake around. And this, Ahibba'i, my fellow Matamis, is one of the philosophies and one of the goals of Azadari. Is that when you form your lines and you form your halqas and you beat your chests to the highest degree of intensity, and your heads and your backs, it is in preparation as an exercise. It is a preparation and a form of allegiance where you are readying yourself and preparing yourself to be a part of this grand movement that has been predicted and that has been prophesied from the beginning of time. Hadith al-Sharif narrates on the 10th of Muharram, Yawm Ashura, Imam al-Hujjah reappears in Mecca. Now let me pause over here for a moment. Bain al-Qawsain, between brackets, open and make something, a clarification. There is a difference between when you read through and you study the literature in regards to the hadith for the dhuhur of the Imam or the reappearance of the Imam. There is a difference between the dhuhur of the Imam, and there is a difference between the dhuhur of the Imam and the qiyam of the Imam. Dhuhur and qiyam are two different things. Dhuhur very likely means the reappearance of the imam into the public eye, meaning that the occultation or the ghaiba has ended. The imam is now, the imam lives even during ghaiba on earth. You know, the ghaiba of Imam al-Hujjah is different from the ghaiba of Nabi Isa. Nabi Isa was raised up to the heavens, but Imam al-Hujjah, la, he lives between us, suffers the hardships of this dunya with us, like us. The Imam attends Hajj, is in Arafah. The Imam is in Karbala, Imam al-Mahdi. The Imam participates in commemorations of Azadari. The Imam weeps as well. We have traditions and we have witness accounts of this that have happened throughout history. However, there is a difference between dhuhur. So dhuhur is the end of the occultation, in that he's not anonymous anymore. The occultation will have been ended and his presence will be public. People will know that Imam al-Mahdi, his occultation has ended, but he has not yet announced his movement and his revolution. There is a number of hadith that suggest that the reappearance or the dhuhur, where the first public appearance of the imam, in the sense that his personality is not anonymous anymore, will happen in the city of Medina al-Munawwarah, by the blessed grave of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. And the hidden grave of his mother Sayyidah Fatima al-Zahra, the hidden grave of Sayyid Muhsin, and by the graves of his grandfathers buried in Jannatul Baqi. For the hadith is unclear, and for understandable reasons, the hadith is unclear for the amount of time that Imam al-Hujjah's dhuhur, for the period of time and the exact time that his dhuhur will manifest in the city of Medina. But we do know for sure is that 15 days after the massacre of Nafsul Zakiyah in Mecca, the Imam will then make ways from Medina to Mecca. And on the day of Ashura, this is the Qiyam. This is when the Imam will announce this global movement of peace and justice. The hadith mentioned that he will come to Mecca on the day of Ashura, will recite salat by the maqam of Nabi Ibrahim. He will then stand by the Kaaba with his back leaning against the Kaaba, between the maqam of Ibrahim and between the Hajarul Aswad, and the Imam will call out to the people. He will be surrounded by ashab and surrounded by ansar. The difference between ashab and ansar is what? Ashab are those 313 companions, the highest grade of companions, brigadiers and colonels within this movement of the Imam. And underneath them there are Ansars who are in their thousands and their thousands, who will keep joining the Imam at different parts of the movement. For the hadith mentions that Imam al-Hujjah shall lean against the Kaaba on the day of Ashura, between the Hajar al-Aswad and Maqam Ibrahim, and then he will call out to the people, Ayyuhan nas, after having praised Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the most eloquent manner. Imam al-Hujjah shall cry out to the people, Ayyuhan nas, man hajjani fil Adam fa ana awla bi Adam, man hajjani fil Nuh fa ana awla bin Nuh, man hajjani fil Ibrahim fi Ibrahim fa ana awla bi Ibrahim. O people, the one who wants to understand Adam Nabiullah Adam, then I am the perfect representative and manifestation of Adam. Those who want to understand Nuh, and those who want to understand Ibrahim and Isa and Musa, he says, I am the manifestation of their teachings and their prophethood. Man hajjani fi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. فَأَنَا أَوْلَى بِهِ. Those who want to understand Rasulullah, I am the most accurate, grandest manifestation of Rasulullah. Keep this khutbah in mind because it has a very significant and important implication. The hadith narrates 313 men who remained steadfast in the ghaibah of the Imam will have appeared and will give bay'ah. And before these 313 men appear, Imam al-Baqir states that as soon as the Imam calls for bay'ah, he will say to the people that we are seeking victory with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَإِسْتَنْصَرْنَا Allah. We seek help and victory through Allah, so all people respond to us. And you find that the theme of this statement, calling the people towards his movement, is similar to the words of Imam al-Hussein. When Sayyid al-Shuhada on the plains of Ashura cried out, هَلْ مِن نَاصِرٍ يَنْصُرُنَا. Imam al-Hujjah says over here, فَانْصُرُونَا. Come to our aid and come to our victory. At this moment, the narrations mention the first person to give the bay'ah to Imam al-Hujjah will be Jibra'il. He will descend down from the heavens in a company of 40,000 angels, and they shall give bay'ah to Imam al-Hussein. And if you refer back to Kamilul Ziyarat is a text which is authored by Ibn Qawlaway, or it is a text in regards to the ziyarat and the fiqh and the aqaid of ziyarah, narrated by Ibn Qawlaway. Ibn Qawlaway is the teacher of Sheikh Mufid. Both these two grand scholars who played a vital role in the ghaibah, early days of the ghaibah of the Imam. Both these scholars are blessed to be buried, and their graves are next to or inside of the haram of Imam Musa ibn Jafar and Imam al-Jawad, Ruhi lahul Fida, in Baghdad. They are buried just not too far from the feet of the Imam. Kamilul Ziyarat Ahibai is a text which is absolutely vital. A text you will not understand Imam al-Hussein and not understand your role when it comes to Imam al-Hujjah if you are not connected with Imam al-Hussein and the institution of ziyarah and the institution of azadari. The fiqh and the aqaid of azadari and ziyarah is within this text, Kamilul Ziyarat. There are certain texts we have been saying over the last few nights. Intum, lovers of Ahlul Bayt, Matamis, you cannot do without these texts. Each and every one of us needs to have a relationship with the Quran. Each and every one of us needs to have a relationship with the Nahjul Balagha. Each and every one of us need to have an affiliation with Sahif al-Sajjadiyah. When it comes to texts about our deen, we need to be familiar with Kitab Sulaim. We need to be familiar with Kamilul Ziyarat. These are texts where ulama have spent their lives and they shed their blood to ensure that you and I have access to the literature of Ali Muhammad. Within Kamilul Ziyarat, it is narrated that together with all these angels, Jibra'il and 40,000 angels, there are thousands of angels who have been appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be in a state of azar, to be in a state of grief, weeping for Imam al-Hussein, and their position is around the kubbah of Sayyid al-Shuhada. Allah. This golden dome of Karbala, Karbala, ya Karbala. When you enter into Karbala, Ahibba'i, you're not walking amongst human beings, even though it's an honor to be walking around other Matamis and lovers of Imam al-Hussein. You're in a land where the air that you breathe, the dust that you breathe, is dust that is shaken off the wings of the angels that are doing tawaf around the Qubbah of Aba Abdullah. How blessed are those Matamis who are in Karbala on nights like these. And how blessed are you that your heart yearns for Karbala. May Allah grant us the ziyarah of Aba Abdullah, Ya Allah. The narrations mention that these thousands of angels have been appointed by Allah to circumambulate around the Qubbah of Imam al-Hussein, and they are in a state of azar, covered in dust, until the rising of Imam al-Hujjah, and they will be a part of this army. And as soon as Jibreel and the angels give bay'ah to the Imam, after him there are 313 of these colonels, brigadiers of the highest level and the staunchest level of loyalty to Imam al-Hujjah, who give bay'ah. And underneath them there are thousands and thousands of companions, as we said, who will join the movement. And it is from here, Ahibba'i, listen to this carefully, and it is from here that Imam Sahib al-Amri wa Zaman Ruhi lahul Fida will begin and commence the establishment of a brand new civilization. The Imam is not here to create a new temporary government. The Imam is not here to replace one or two broken political processes. La, the Imam is here to create a brand new civilization, a brand new world order, a civilization that is marked with peace, justice, and prosperity for the entire humanity. And if you understand the weight of the mission of the Imam, in that he's coming to establish a new civilization, we begin to understand the weight of the responsibility that falls upon us as the companions of the Imam. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. The establishment of this new civilization. So when you come across the hadith where the Prophet and the Imam say in regards to Imam al-Mahdi, الَّذِي يَمْلَأُ الْأَرْضَ عَدْلًا وَقِسْطًا كَمَا مُلِئَتْ ظُلْمًا وَجَوْرًا, understand that over here it's not about just being the head of government. La, it's about the establishment of a brand new civilization. Civilization marked by peace and justice. How does the Imam go about by establishing this new world order and this new civilization? For the time that is remaining, I cannot complete the 3 that I have planned, but inshallah, if we have an opportunity tomorrow, we will continue with the 2. But one important thing that I want to share with you is that the beginning of this new civilization, the commencement of this new civilization begins with the unification of monotheistic faiths under the Shahada, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah, Aliyun Waliyullah. Ya Ali. And the proof for this is that come and have a look at the initial khutbah that is delivered by Imam al-Hujjah by the Kaaba, where he says to the people, the Imam, look at how the Imam engages them. Those who want to engage about Adam, those who want to engage about Nuh, those who want to engage about Ibrahim and Musa and Isa, I am the manifestation of their prophethood, meaning that one of the fundamental and one of the first tasks of the Imam, or the functions of the Imam, is to unite monotheistic faiths under the banner of Islam. He will debate with the followers of Nabi Isa using the Injil to prove his imamat and superiority. He will debate with the people of the Torah and invite them to the Siratul Mustaqim that is listed and that is mentioned within the Quran. He will guide the Muslims with all their different denominations and sects. If they believe in the Risala of Rasulullah, he will bring them towards the fold of the Wilayah of Amirul Mu'mineen and his imamat. Which is why the narrations mention that a part of this unification of monotheistic Abrahamic faiths is that the descension of Nabiullah Isa from the heavens. The descension of Nabiullah Isa from the heavens will be upon the dhuhur or the qiyam of the Imam in Sham. And the hadith is so clear in the description of Nabi Isa that he will be wearing a red robe and his hair shall be falling down onto his shoulders and they look like his hair is still wet. And the role of Nabi Isa will be to unify the entire Christian faith. Not only unite them, but revive them. With all their differences, as per our hadith, we have that there are 72 sects that all claim to be the true representatives of the teachings of Nabiullah Isa. Jesus Christ, Nabi Isa, alayhi salam, shall unite them. And as they are united under the leadership of Nabi Isa, the hadith mentioned both Sunni and Shia, that Nabi Isa will lead himself, lead the masses towards Imam al-Hujjah. Nabiullah Isa shall pray salat behind Imam al-Mahdi. And together with this, the entire followership of Nabi Isa comes into a bloodless entry into the deen of Islam. إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحِ Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحِ وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا. The movement of the Imam is a movement of knowledge, a movement of burhan, a movement of ilm for those who respond to the intellect. And this is an important aspect of Mahdawiyah that we cannot discount. Self-defense, 100% self-defense is there, is in its place. But preparation for self-defense is built on the precondition is ilm and yaqeen. There is much to say on this. Inshallah, we have tawfiq in the future nights. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Ahibba'i Shabab, Masa'ib today of Maulana Shah Qasim. Before I begin the Masa'ib, we are approaching the 7th day of Muharram. 7th of Muharram is when the camps of Imam al-Hussein were denied access to water. Between now and Ashura, from the 7th day until Saturday Ashura, see how many times you drink water. How many times you get thirsty. How quickly you get dehydrated. between now and Ashura, each and every one of you, when you drink a glass of water, this is supposed to be masa'ib for you. Lovers of Ali Muhammad, those of you who are parents, fathers, mothers, young parents, between now and Ashura, when you see your children drink water, when you feed or you nurse your children, remember the tragedy of the children of Imam al-Hussein. Young mothers live the tragedy of Sayyida Rabab between now and the day of Ashura. Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba, Ruhi lahul fida, was present in Karbala. Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba was present in Karbala and was represented in Karbala through his sons. And you find that from within the youth of Bani Hashim, each and every one of them were fearless, raging, courageous lions, without a shadow of a doubt. But the children of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba, they exhibited courage and swordsmanship, warriors that were unmatched, unparalleled to the highest degree. And the courage within the children of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba that was displayed on the day of Ashura is a testament to the courage that they inherited from their father Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba. From their tarbiyah to the way that they spoke, to the manner that they conducted themselves on the battlefield, the children of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba. Allahu Akbar. The Maqatil mention that Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba, Aba Muhammad Ruhi lahul fida, had 7 children, 7 sons. I should not say 7 children because his daughters were in addition. Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba had 7 sons on the day of Ashura with Imam al-Hussein. 2 of his sons by the name of Zayd and Amr were young children between the ages of 10 to 12 who were taken prisoner with the rest of the women and Imam al-Baqir and Imam al-Sajjad. They were taken as prisoners from Karbala to Kufa and Kufa to Sham. Zayd and Amr, 2. The third one, the son of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba, and what is apparent is that he is the eldest son of Imam al-Mujtaba. His name was also Hassan, and he is known as Hassan al-Muthanna, Hassan the second. The historians mention that this Hassan al-Muthanna was married to Sayyida Fatima Kubra, the daughter of Imam al-Hussein. And he was present on the day of Ashura, and he fought in the center flank with the Bani Hashim under the leadership and the command of Abul Fadl al-Abbas. And he fought such an extensive war and such a ferocious war that in the process one of his arms was severed. The manner in which his arm was severed, the intensity of the pain was such that Hassan al-Muthanna fainted on the battlefield. By the time the enemies got to him, they assumed that he was dead. It was only on the 11th of Muharram that Hassan al-Muthanna gained consciousness. He was profusely bleeding. You can imagine a person whose hand has been severed off. Those of you, there's a number of you who are in the medical field. Man's hand has been severed off. He's fainted and he's bleeding without any sort of treatment. 11th of Muharram, faintly he gained consciousness. They were about to kill him until a man from his mother's tribe interceded on his behalf And the enemies thought he's going to die en route anyway, so they took him captive together with the rest of the women and the children and Imam Sajjad. This is the third one, Hasan al-Muthanna. Number 4, you have Ahmad, Sayyid Ahmad, the son of Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba. Sayyid Ahmad was one of those Sadat from the lineage, the children of Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba, on the day of Ashura. In addition to forming the ranks of the Bani Hashim, the center flank, forming the ranks with the Bani Hashim, history has recorded that he entered and attacked the battlefield on 3 different occasions. And within these 3 different occasions, there is the least recorded number is that close to 200 of the enemies of Iblis were sent to Jahannam wa bi'sal masir under Ahmad. And if you were to see the poetry that he recited on the day of Ashura, when he attacked the army of Umar ibn Sa'ad, and these were young men, Ahmad, historians have recorded that Sayyid Ahmad was not much older than 16 years of age. Yet when he entered into the battlefield, he recites for them poetry. He enters into the battlefield saying, I am from the children of Mukhtar. Mukhtar is a title of Rasulullah. He says, I am from the children of Mukhtar. I shall attack you with my sword in such an intense manner that even the child's hair on the head will turn white if he was to see me fight you on the battlefield. These are the children of Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba. Became shaheed on the day of Ashura. And then you have 2 sons again of Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba by the name of Abdullah. One of them is known as Abdullah al-Akbar and the other one is known as Abdullah al-Asghar. Abdullah al-Akbar caused terror in the ranks of the army on the day of Ashura, and his age again was not more than 14 to 16. In fact, the enemy was absolutely terrorized. And if it is important for you to understand this, because they vented out their hatred and their anger for the remaining children of Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba on Shah Qasim. Abdullah al-Akbar was so courageous and attacked the army of Umar ibn Sa'ad in such a ferocious manner, they had to flee from him. And all this time, Abdullah al-Akbar in his poetry terrified the army. It is recorded in the Maqtal that as he attacked their ranks, he recited in poetry saying to them, In tunkiruni fa'ana ibnu haydara dharghamun ajamun laythun kaswara alal a'da'u mithlu rihis sarsara ukilukum bisayfi kakilis sandara. He says to them, if you do not know me, I am the son of Haydar, that raging, ferocious, attacking lion. I shall fall upon you like a black wind, and I shall sift through you with my sword like the wind sifts through the trees. This is the children of Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba. Pay tribute to this Imam who was poisoned and vomited blood and his insides. This Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba who is buried in Baqi, and there is no qubbah and there is no dhari over his grave. Today we're here to pay tribute to Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba for the sacrifice that his children gave on the day of Ashura. And you have Abdullah al-Asghar. Abdullah al-Asghar was 11 years of age. The Maqtal mentions on the day of Ashura, when Imam al-Hussein was all by himself, and Sayyid al-Shuhada has performed a jihad, as you will see in the Maqtal. A jihad where the Malaika saw in Imam al-Hussein, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib. The Imam was attacked with such intensity. Sheikh al-Tustari mentions that there were 114 sword wounds on the body of Imam al-Hussein. This is not to count the spears. This is not to count the arrows. 114 were just wounds from swords. When he eventually, Imam, fell from the Dhuljana, the Maqtal mentions that one of the sons of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba, the youngest one, Abdullah al-Asghar, he was in the Khaymaga and he was looking at Imam al-Hussein. For when he saw Imam al-Hussein fall from the horse, the narrations mention that Abdullah tried to run out of the Khaymaga. So Sayyida Zainab kept holding on to him, but he would refuse one way or the other. He escaped from Sayyida Zainab. The Maqtal mentions that this child ran from the Khaymaga towards Imam al-Hussein. He ran towards him. At this time, Imam al-Hussein was on the plains of Karbala. One of the enemies was coming to strike Imam al-Hussein. The narrations mention Abdullah cried out to him, "O enemy of Allah, how dare you attack my uncle?" The narration mentions that Abdullah went running towards Imam al-Hussein. So the enemy was about to strike Sayyid al-Shuhada. Abdullah, little child, when he saw that they are attacking his uncle with a sword, he put his hand to defend Imam al-Hussein. The narration mentions that the enemy cut the right hand of Abdullah. Allah, the strike was in such a manner that the arm of Abdullah was hanging from the elbow. Shia Amirul Mu'mineen, do you know what happened over here? The narration mention Imam al-Hussein فَضَمَّهُ عَلَى صَدْرِهِ. Imam al-Hussein hugged the child who is crying, who is bleeding. Half his arm is hanging. Imam al-Hussein hugs him and he says to him, "Sabran ya bani, have patience, O my nephew, for indeed after today there is no pain for you, and we will be reunited with our grandfather." While he was saying this to his son, the Maqtal mentions Hurmala took an arrow and he shot it towards Abdullah in the hands, in the chest of Imam al-Hussein. This young son of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba becomes shaheed. Allah. Sadat of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba, Mazloom. All this time, the Bani Hashim are going one by one seeking shahadat from Imam al-Hussein. The Maqtal mentions that every time Shah Qasim would come to Imam al-Hussein and he would seek for permission, Imam al-Hussein would turn him away. He would say, "No, not you, Qasim." Or that Muhammad would go, the children of Aqil would go. But even the brothers of Shah Qasim went. But every time Shah Qasim would go, Imam al-Hussein says no. At one time, the narrations mention that Shah Qasim fell to the feet of Imam al-Hussein. He began to kiss the feet and kiss the hands. He says, "Uncle, please give me permission to go into the battlefield." Imam al-Hussein says to him, "Anta alamata akhi." He says, "You are the remainder of my brother. How can I let you go, Qasim?" Allah. The narrations mention that Shah Qasim was so saddened the fact that he was not able to go into battle and Imam al-Hussein wouldn't give him permission. The Maqtal mentions Shah Qasim went back to his khaymaga. He was sitting on the ground with his head on his knees and he was crying because he didn't have the chance to go. At this time, his mother came to him and she said to him, "O Qasim, where your father, Imam al-Mujtaba, said to me on his dying bed, he put a ta'weed, he gave a ta'weed, and this was to be tied around your hand. Then your father said to me that if there ever comes a time where Qasim is felt or is faced by extreme difficulty, then open the ta'weed because the solution will be there." So Qasim thought to himself, "I have never been afflicted by a bala like today. there. The hadith mentions and the Maktal mentions, Shah Qasim opened the ta'weed from around his arm. He opened it and it was a letter from his father, Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba. In the letter it is written, Ila waladi Qasim, to my son Qasim, Usika, I gave you a testimony. Usika idha ra'ayta ammaka al-Husayn, wa kad ahatatahu a'da bi Karbala. Allah, my witness or my will to you is, oh my son Qasim, if you see your uncle Hussein in Karbala and he is surrounded by the enemies, فَلَا تَتْرُكُ الْبَرَازِ وَالْجِهَادَ عَلَىٰ أَعْدَاءِ اللَّهِ وَأَعْدَاءِ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ, then do not leave the jihad and do not abandon the fighting against the enemies of Allah and the enemies of Rasulullah. Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba then ends the wasiyah by saying, وَلَا تَبْخُلْ بِرُوحِكَ عَلَيْهِ, do not be stingy when you're defending Imam al-Hussein. Yani, do not think that your life is more important than the life of Abu Abdullah. Allah, ya Shi'at al-Muhammad. The Maktal mentions when Shah Qasim saw this, he kissed the letter and he put it on his forehead. There was a smile on the face of Qasim. He went running to the khayma of Imam al-Hussein. He showed Imam al-Hussein the letter. The Maktal mentions Imam al-Hussein read the letter. Tears began to flow down his eyes. The Maktal says that Imam al-Hussein hugged Shah Qasim. وَبَكَى حَتَّى أُغْمِيَ عَلَيْهِمَا. Both Imam al-Hussein and Shah Qasim, they wept so intensely, both of them fainted. Allah, ya Shi'at al-Muhammad, both of them fainted. The narration mentions when Shah Qasim gained consciousness. When Shah Qasim gained consciousness, the hadith says, Imam al-Hussein took Shah Qasim into the khaymaga and then he called for Sayyida Zainab al-Kubra. He says to her, oh Zainab, bring the sanduk or the chest from the khaymaga. The narrations mention Imam al-Hussein removed the sanduk from the chest. He opened it and he removed the kaba of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba. He removed the amama of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba. He tied the amama around the head of Shah Qasim and then he took out a robe of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba, but Shah Qasim was only 13 to 14 of age, so the garment of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba was too big. Today I saw in the Maktal, it is narrated within the older books, that Imam al-Hussein wrapped the garment of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba in the same way that a kafan is tied on a person. He tied the garment of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba like a kafan, and then he put the sword on Shah Qasim. He says to Shah Qasim, go into the khaymaga and bid your mother and bid your auntie Zainab farewell. Allah, ya Zainab. The narration mentions Imam Shah Qasim entered into the khaymaga wearing the amama of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba. His face, it was such a resemblance. When he entered inside the khaymaga, Sayyida Zainab stood up and she looked at him. She said, Akhi Hassan, oh my brother Hassan, Allah. Shah Qasim hugs the women. He hugs Sayyida Zainab, he bids her farewell. He hugs his mother Farwa and he bids her farewell. The narrations mention that Shah Qasim went into the Maidan on foot brandishing his sword. He looked towards the enemies. This is the courage within the children of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba. The Maktal mentions he walked proudly and courageously into the battlefield. He looked right into the heart of the battlefield and he cried out to Umar ibn Sa'ad. And he said to him, oh Omar, ya Omar, atadda'i Islam wa ali Rasul utasha. He says, do you call yourself a Muslim? And the family of Rasulullah are thirsty. So Umar ibn Sa'ad replies back to him and says, Ila mata hada tajabbur, until when will you remain to be arrogant? Pay allegiance to Yazid. At this time, Shah Qasim said to him, indeed you have violated the rights of Rasulullah and the family of Rasulullah. The narrations mention that Shah Qasim charged and attacked into the battlefield like a raging lion. All this time reciting poetry and saying to them, in tunkiruni fa ana ibnul Hasan, najlun nabiyil Mustafa wal mu'taman, hadha Husainu. Allah. He says, if you do not know me, I am the son of Hassan al-Mujtaba. I am the grandson of Rasulullah, the Prophet Mustafa. This is Hussein that you have placed under siege over here. Allah, Allah. And my people who have absolutely no values. The Maqtal mentions that Shah Qasim attacked them in such a ferocious manner. He went right into the heart of the field. In the first attack, he attacked and killed 200 of the enemies, sending them to Jahannam wa bi'sal masir. They were not able to counter Qasim. So Umar ibn Sa'ad said, Ahjimuhum bil hijara. He said, throw stones upon Shah Qasim. So they threw stones on Shah Qasim from every direction. In the Maqtal I read that there were 55 wounds on the body of Shah Qasim. Shah Qasim still went pressing forward. So he attacked the second rank of the enemies. In this second rank, Shah Qasim sent 70 of the enemies to Jahannam wa bi'sal masir. No one was willing to come forward and attack Qasim. Allahu Akbar. Qasim is standing on the battlefield. No one is willing to come forward at that moment. At that moment, Shah Qasim looked down. Hamid ibn Muslim says, Allah, that this shab, this young man, his face was like the shining moon. Shah Qasim looked down and he saw that the lace of his left sandal is open. So Shah Qasim bent down to turn the lace, to tie the lace, as if to tell the enemies that you are not worth even the lace of my sandal. Ya Shiyat ala Muhammad, I don't know if you will be able to hear, but the narrations mention that as Shah Qasim tied down to tie his lace, one of the enemies by the name of Amr al-Azadi came. He came charging towards Shah Qasim from behind. The Maqtal says, فَضَرَبَهُ بِسَيْفِهِ عَلَى رَأْسِهِ. This Zalim, Allah, he was such a coward. He didn't even attack Qasim from in front. From behind he came and he struck Shah Qasim with a sword on the head. Allah, Allah, Ya Shiyat ala Muhammad. There are three things that happened when he struck this lion, struck Qasim with a sword on the head. The Maqtal says, فَفَجَرَ حَامَّةً. Fajara Hamata means he split open the skull of Qasim. Shiyat ala Muhammad, forgive me. The strike was so insane. That strike was so intensive. Not only did it split the skull of Qasim, the intensity of the strike was, the Maqtal says, فَوَقَعَ الْغُلَامَ عَلَى وَجْهِهِ. That Shah Qasim, the intensity of the strike, the splitting of his skull, Qasim fell on the plains of Karbala face first. Salam on those cheeks of Shah Qasim that are covered with the sand of Karbala. Allah, Allah. Do you know what the Maqtal says? That when he fell down onto the ground, the intensity of the strike was such. Every shaheed, when they fell down to the ground, they would cry out, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. But do you know Qasim? His strike was so painful. His strike was so painful. He didn't say, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. He cried out, Adrikni, Adrikni ya Amma, help me. He cried out, help me, oh my uncle. The Maqtal narrates that as soon as Imam al-Hussein saw this, he went charging into the Maidan towards Qasim like a raging lion. Shias of Al Muhammad, forgive me. This is the Masaib of Shah Qasim. Imam al-Hussein enters into the Maidan, charging like a lion. The enemies were so terrified. Enemies on the horses. The horsemen of the right began to flee towards the left. The horsemen of the left are fleeing towards the right. In the middle is the body of Shah Qasim. The Maktal says, فَوَتَعَتِ الْخَيْلِ عَلَى جَسَدِ الْقَاسِمِ بِسَنَابِكِهَا. They trampled on the body of Qasim. The broken body of Qasim in the middle. The Maktal says, فَلَمَّا جَلَتِ الْغَبْرَةِ. Allah. The Maktal says that when the dust settled down, رأينا الحسين على رأس الغلام. We saw Imam al-Hussein sitting at the head, by the head of Shah Qasim. Do you know what Shah Qasim was doing? The Maktal mentions, وَالْغُلَامِ يَفْحَسْ بِرِجْلَيْهِ. Qasim was moving his legs up and down out of pain for the broken bones of the body under the hooves. Imam al-Hussein sits by Qasim. He holds the body of Qasim and he says to him, يَعِزُّ وَاللَّهِ عَلَىٰ عَمِّكَ أَن تَدْعُوهُ فَلَا يُجِيبُكَ أَوْ يُجِيبُكَ فَلَا يَنْفَعُكَ. Imam al-Hussein says, Ya Shia Al Muhammad, can you feel the pain of Imam al-Hussein? Imam al-Hussein looks at the broken body of Qasim. Qasim is in pain. Imam al-Hussein says to him, Wallah, it hurts your uncle. It hurts your uncle that you called out to him and he couldn't help you. He couldn't come to you in time. And now that your uncle is next to you, your uncle cannot help you anymore. Wa mazluma. Final part of the Masaib. Allah, Ya Shia Al Muhammad. The Maktal mentions over here that when the ruh of Qasim left his body, Imam al-Hussein lifted the body of Qasim. The Maktal says, Imam al-Hussein put his chest on the broken chest of Qasim, and then he was walking back to the Khaymaga. The Rawi mentions Qasim was not that tall, Qasim was not that heavy, but Imam al-Hussein was carrying Qasim, his chest on the chest of Qasim. The Rawi mentions as he was taking him towards the Khaymaga, we could see the feet of Qasim dragging on the plains of Karbala. I thought to myself, why would the feet of Qasim be dragging? These are the legs whose bones were broken under the مات Shah Qasim.
सद पाश बदन हो गया यूं इब्ने हसन का सद पाश बदन हो गया यूं इब्ने हसन का एक एक उज़ू खाक पे बिखरा था बदन का پامال بدن کس طرح مولا نے اٹھایا، شبیر نے یوں لاشے قاسم کو اٹھایا، اولاد بڑے بھائی کی تھی جان سے پیاری، اور جانے لگی جب دشت میں قاسم کی سواری، شبیر نے ماں کی طرح سینے سے لگایا، اور شبیر نے ماں کی طرح سینے سے لگایا، شبیر نے یوں لاشے قاسم کو اٹھایا، اور نوشاہ کے بازو پہ جو تعویذ حسن تھا، تعویذ میں تحریر یہی ایک سخن تھا، قاسم میرے شبیر کا فدیہ ہے خدا را، شبیر نے یوں لاشے قاسم کو اٹھایا، ریحان شہ والا نے قاسم سے جو پوچھا، اے لال شہادت کا مزہ ہوتا ہے کیسا، قاسم نے کہا شہد سے شیرین ہے زیادہ، شبیر نے یوں لاشے قاسم کو اٹھایا، ہے جوان قاسم جوان، ہے جوان قاسم جوان، ہے جوان ہے جوان قاسم جوان، ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم، کبھی اس پر ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، قاسم، کبھی لاشا دیکھ کے روتی تھی، کبھی غش کھا کے گر جاتی تھی، کبھی لاشا دیکھ کے روتی تھی، کبھی غش کھا کے گر جاتی تھی، پامال ہوا تھا بھائی جہاں، پامال ہوا تھا بھائی جہاں، اس خون پہ گھر کر ہے قاسم، کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم، کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے جو ماتمی، ہے قاسم، کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم، کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم، ہے کبھی لاشا دیکھ کے روتی تھی، کبھی غش کھا کے گر جاتی تھی، کبھی لاشا دیکھ کے روتی تھی، کبھی غش کھا کے گر جاتی تھی. پامال ہوا تھا بھائی جہاں، پامال ہوا تھا بھائی جہاں، اس خون پہ گر کر ہے قاسم. کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم، کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم. ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے جیو ماتمی. ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، قاسم. کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم، کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم. ہے قاسم. فروان کہا بیٹا قاسم، کہہ دینا دادی زہرا سے. فروان کہا بیٹا قاسم، کہہ دینا دادی زہرا سے. غربت کی کمائی ٹکڑوں میں، غربت کی کمائی ٹکڑوں میں دیتی ہے سجا کر ہے قاسم. کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم، کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم. ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے جیو ماتمی. ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم. قاسم کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم، کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم. ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم. فروان کہا بیٹا قاسم، کہہ دینا دادی زہرا سے. فروان کہا بیٹا قاسم، کہہ دینا دادی زہرا سے. غربت کی کمائی ٹکڑوں میں، غربت کی کمائی ٹکڑوں میں دیتی ہے سجا کر ہے قاسم. کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم، کبھی اس ٹکڑے پر ہے قاسم. ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم، ہے قاسم. اللہ اکبر یا حسین، 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 اللہ اکبر یا حسین. ماشاءاللہ. یا حسین اللہ اکبر، یا حسین اللہ اکبر، حسین اللہ اکبر، یا 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 حسین. مل کے اللہ اکبر یا حسین. زیر خنجر یا حسین، زیر خنجر یا حسین، نوکے سنا پر یا حسین. اللہ اکبر. سن کے ماتمی. حسین اللہ اکبر. ماشاءاللہ. یا حسین. اس نے کس طرح سمیٹا قاسم نوشاہ کو اس نے کس طرح سے روکا لب پہ آخری آہ کو. ایک ایک ٹکڑا پکارا, ایک ایک ٹکڑا پکارا تھا بکھر کر یا حسین اللہ اکبر یا حسین اللہ اکبر یا حسین اللہ اکبر یا حسین اللہ اکبر یا حسین اللہ اکبر. بلند اللہ, سب مل کے باؤ سے بلند حسین اللہ اکبر. جیو ماتمی حسین اللہ اکبر. ماشاءاللہ یا حسین اس نے کس طرح سمیٹا قاسم نوشاہ کو, اس نے کس طرح سے روکا لب پہ آخری آہ کو. ایک ایک ٹکڑا پکارا, ایک ایک ٹکڑا پکارا تھا بکھر کر یا حسین اللہ اکبر یا حسین اللہ اکبر یا حسین اللہ اکبر یا حسین اللہ اکبر یا حسین اللہ اکبر. جیو ماتمی سلامت رہے. یا حسین اللہ اکبر یا ثانی ساتھ میں پڑھنا ہے. یا زیر خنجر یا حسین, مل کے پڑھیں. زیر خنجر یا حسین, زیر خنجر یا حسین نو کے سنا پر یا حسین اللہ اکبر یا حسین اللہ یا حسین. نو کے نیزہ کے مسافر تو عظیم اور سر بلند, بیبیوں کے سر کھلے ہیں یوں تیری آنکھیں ہیں بند. آنکھ ہے سجاد کی, آنکھ ہے سجاد کی خوں کا سمندر یا حسین اللہ اکبر یا حسین اللہ اکبر یا حسین اللہ اکبر یا حسین اللہ اکبر یا حسین اللہ. مل کے جیو ماتمی اللہ اکبر یا حسین اللہ اکبر. ماشاءاللہ یا حسین اللہ اکبر یا حسین یا حسین. یہ اگر محشر نہیں ہے پھر بھلا محشر ہے کیا, ہے کھلے سر بنت زہرا یہ ہے محشر سے سوا. غیر کی ہر ایک نظر ہے, غیر کی ہر ایک نظر ہے مثل خنجر یا حسین اللہ اکبر 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 یا حسین یا حسین. زیر خنجر یا حسین, زیر یا حسین نو کے سنا پر یا حسین اللہ اکبر یا حسین اللہ. الوداع مصرع پیش کر رہا ہوں. اللہ اکبر یا حسین یا حسین. آخری سجدہ وہ تیرا اور مصلی کربلا, روز عاشورا ہوا کعبے کا قبلہ کربلا. کربلا ہے وہ جہاں, کربلا ہے وہ جہاں بکھرا تیرا گھر یا حسین اللہ اکبر یا حسین अकबर या हुसैन अल्लाह 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 अकबर کبوترای حرمت امام حسن قربون کبوترای حرمت امام حسن as you near the overcrowded haram of Imam Hussein. Inshallah, we want to also commemorate Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. As you near the overcrowded haram of Imam Hussein, as you near the overcrowded haram of Imam Hussein, send a prayer towards the lonely haram of Imam Hassan. Send a prayer towards the lonely haram of Imam Hassan. Just your voices. As you near the overcrowded haram of Imam Hussein, as you near the overcrowded haram of Imam Hussein, send a prayer towards the lonely haram of Imam Hassan. Send a prayer towards the lonely haram of Imam Hassan. As you near the overcrowded haram of Imam Hussein, as you near haram of Imam Hussein, send a prayer towards the lonely haram of Imam Hassan. Send a prayer li haram of Imam Hassan. Even in death you are detained, even in death you are detained. Although you left, you still remain. In our hearts we wrote Hassan beside Qasim and Hussein. Your seed is in a land that is devoid of water. He seeks permission, uncle, allow me to enter. Ya Hassan, Imam Hussein is torn. Ya Hassan, Imam Hussein is torn. Does he send to death your youngest born? Qasim answered him, uncle, you see, to me death is sweeter than honey. As you near the overcrowded haram of Imam Hussein, as you near haram of Imam Hussein, send a prayer towards the lonely haram of Imam Hassan, send a prayer. Where are your voices? Imam, all together, as you near the overcrowded haram of Imam Hussein, as you near Barakallah Imam Hussein, send a prayer towards the lonely haram of Imam Hassan, send a prayer towards the lonely haram of Imam Hassan. Hassan, your lovers have a dream for you and for Ummul Baneen. Hassan, your lovers have a dream for you and for Ummul Baneen, to build a shrine on your graves, to walk on your Arba'een. A dome is the hope for he who is seeking shelter. You answered Hussein's call when he cried for a helper. Abu Fadl sheltered the river, Abu Fadl sheltered the river. Qasim gave a part of his liver. When the foes offered him a way out, they drew forth their swords, saying never. As you near the overcrowded haram of Imam Hussein, as you near the overcrowded haram of Imam Hussein, send a prayer. Haram of Imam Hassan, send a prayer. Barakallah. Haram of Imam. One more time, all together. As you near the overcrowded haram of Imam Hussein, as you near send a prayer towards the lonely haram of Imam Hassan, send a prayer. Haram of Imam Hassan, how can the pen describe the light? You are the moon of every night. How can the pen describe the light? You are the moon of every night. Without a dome, the Almighty Lord glorified your sight. Oh, he who resides in the oh, he who resides in the city of Medina. You are the Kaaba for the hearts of the believers. The arrows upon your coffin rain, the arrows upon your coffin rain. Come and see what happened on the plains. No coffin and thirsty for 3 days, while the horses rained upon Hussein. As you near the overcrowded haram of, and as you near Imam Hussein, send a prayer. Send a prayer towards the lonely harem of Imam Hassan, Ya 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 Hussein Sarallah, Aba Abdullah, Hussein Sarallah, Aba. One voice all together. Hussein Sarallah, Aba Abdullah, Hussein Sarallah, Aba. Hussein Sarallah, Hussein Sarallah, Hussein Aba Abdullah. من و این همه غم ارباب برم به حرم، ارباب برم به حرم، ارباب وای وای وای. من و این همه غم ارباب برم به حرم، ارباب برم به حرم، ارباب وای 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 وای. نفس نفس من شعر غم تو، نفس نفس من شعر غم تو، انشاءالله بمیرم تو حرم تو. حسین ثانالله، حسین ثانالله، ابا عبدالله، ابا حسین ثانالله، حسین حسین ثانالله. Ya Zahra, when I think of your light in the darkness of the night, how they took all your right in the darkness of the night, how Ali hid your sight in the darkness. Why, 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 why? When I think of your light in the darkness of the night, how they took all your right in the darkness of the night, how Ali hid your sight in the darkness. Why, why, why? Hi, the door to heaven's door is behind the door, the door to heaven's door is behind the door, the door to heaven's door is behind the door. Light of the universe burns but is no more. Salam ya Zahra, Hussein Sarallah, Aba Abdullah, Hussein Sarallah, Hussein Sarallah, Hussein Sarallah, Hussein Sarallah. At your door are the paws, at your door are the paws, your blood they came here to pour. At your door is a war, your home they came here to torch. And they knew Fatima was behind the door. Why, why, why? At your door are their paws, your blood they came here to pour. At your door is a war, your home they came here to torch. And they knew Fatima was behind the door. Boy, boy, boy. They heard your holy wail, but to no avail. They heard your holy wail, but to no avail. The door became your veil. God forgive the nail. They heard your holy wail, but to no avail. They heard your holy wail, but to no avail. They heard your holy wail, but to no avail. The door became your veil. God forgive the nail. Salam ya Zahra, Hussein Sarallah. Hussein, Hussein Sarallah. From your heart, Hussein, Hussein Sarallah. Dig deep, Hussein Sarallah. Hussein, Zainab is watching on with Hussein and your Hassan, as the flames are burning on with Hussein and your Hassan. And you heard from your son Muhsin calling, boy, 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 with Muhsin, boy. Zainab is watching on with Hussein and your Hassan, as the flames are burning on with Hussein and your Hassan. And you hear from your son Muhsin calling, why, why, why? Oh, you give me breath and you take my breath away. You give me breath and you take my breath away. You give me breath and you take my breath away. You heal me with your name, and with it you slay. Hussein Sarallah, Hussein Sarallah. Hussein, Hussein Sarallah. Abdullah, Hussein Sarallah, Abu Abdullah. Oh, La Hussein, Hussein. It's not about your voices. From here, hi, Hussein Sarallah. Again, Hussein Sarallah. This is the best poetry. Hussein Sarallah. We don't need no more words. Hussein, Hussein Sarallah. Hi, Hussein Sarallah. All together, Hussein. أبا عزيز الزهرة حسين عزيز الزهرة عزيز الزهرة قتيل العبرة عزيز الزهرة حسين يا مولى عزيز الزهرة حسين يا مولى يا مولى يا مولى حسين يا مولى يا مولى يا مولى حسين يا مولى يا مولى يا مولى يا مولى عزيز الزهرة قتيل العبرة شكثر الأموني يا نور عيوني شكثر الأموني يا نور عيوني محبتك جمرة محبتك جمرة عزيز الزهرة حسن يا مولى يا مولى يا مولى حسن يا مولى يا مولى يا مولى حسن يا مولى يا مولى يا مولى
احسن يا مولا يا مولا يا مولا يا مولا. طبيب الغالي عشق دلالي، طبيب الغالي عشق دلالي. عشت بالذكرى عشت بالذكرى، عزيز الزهرة عزيز الزهرة عزيز الزهرة. حسن يا مولا يا مولا يا مولا، حسن يا مولا يا مولا يا مولا، حسن يا مولا يا مولا يا مولا يا مولا. The people blame me, the people blame me, but they can't tame me. The people blame me, but they can't tame me. I will always shed, I will always shed the tears for your head. Hassan ya Mawla ya Mawla ya Mawla, Hassan ya Mawla ya Mawla ya Mawla, Hassan ya Mawla ya Mawla ya Mawla. Ya Mawla, Abdullah's thirsty, Abdullah's thirsty. They showed no mercy. Abdullah's thirsty, Abdullah's thirsty. They showed no mercy. They showed no respect. They showed no respect. They pierced his soft neck. Hassan ya Mawla ya Mawla ya Mawla, Hassan ya Mawla ya Mawla ya Mawla, Hassan ya Mawla ya Mawla ya Mawla. Ya Mawla, Ana Zainab waits, say Ana Zainab waits, Ana Zainab waits for her true soulmate. Ana Zainab waits for her true soulmate. As she is yearning, as she is yearning, the tents are burning, the tents are burning, the tents are burning, the tents are burning. Hassan ya Mawla ya Mawla ya Mawla, Hassan ya Mawla ya Mawla ya Mawla, Hassan ya Mawla ya Mawla ya Mawla. Ya Mawla ya Mawla, Hassan ya Mawla ya Mawla ya Mawla, Hassan ya Mawla ya Mawla. Ya Aba Abdullah, sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا رب الحسين بحق الحسين اشف صدر الحسين بظهور الحجة. يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله يا حي يا قيوم